Hello, the purpose of this video is a continuation of our discussion on preparing preliminary elevations in AutoCAD. So from our last video, we created elevations and I went ahead and created all four elevations. Okay, this is the front, and I believe this is the right, the left, and the rear elevation is over here. I did modify my plan to show a window. This is the office on the floor plan and they have a window over here. So I created a window here. This window, when you're creating windows, and that's the reason why I put it in, is that it typically are the same elevation or level as the door. So you can see here, okay, they're in the same elevation the door. Okay. If this was an operable window and it can be used as a means of egress or exit, then the minimum height from the floor to this window would be around 36 to about 42 inches. Now we remember that this is an alley and this window, which is fixed right now, there's no swing indication here, could be a point of entry for burglars. So securing this window either from the inside with a roll-up door can be discussed with the owner. But yeah, the owner might want to view the backside of this building from where he sits because there are parking spaces over here. There are no other windows here. This would be the parapet extending. If there was a window here, that parapet will have to extend also on this side of the building. It only extends upwards, but it can also extend this, especially if there's a window and that window has to be protected from fire that happens on the other property. Okay. So let's go ahead and set this up on our layout. So here in our layout, we did set up initially this one elevation over here. And the scale of this one, if I double click, the scale is on 1/8. Let's turn on the viewport that we hid from our last or part one video. There it is. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create other viewports here. So we're just going to simply copy this. Okay. All right, there you go. So we have four viewports. All of them are showing the same view because we just copied the viewport. How do we put our elevations in order? There's really no standard I can remember. Whether you start with the front elevation on the lower right, okay, and the right elevation on this side, there's really no standard. But let's go ahead with that one, okay? So in this one, I'll double click and then I will pan and show the right elevation, okay? Um, you don't want to show the left elevation because that means that you are showing the elevation from this view. So since we have the right elevation here, that means we're showing this view here. Okay, so go ahead and uh, the let's lock the scale. Okay, let's go above here and let's go and look at the um, rear elevation. So the rear elevation, oh, is this one. That's rear elevation, and we wanted to show. Oh, made a mistake. So we wanted this one to be the rear elevation. Rear elevation. There you go. So that we can show the elevation here on this side. Let's go ahead and set the scale on that one on 8 to a foot. Okay, and then just lock it. And then over here, the same thing, but we're going to show the right elevation. Let's make sure that it's an 8 and then lock it. Okay, and when you're making these elevations, we have to make sure that all of their levels, floor to floor, are all level. So on paperspace, so make sure you double click on the white on the gray area. Okay, let's do a line temporarily, and so that we know how to level them up. So we're going to just move the viewport and then hold it from that um, elevation line and make it level with that temporary line. Okay, we'll do the same thing here. We're going to do a temporary line, and then we're going to move the viewport, but hold it from the elevation marker and attach it there directly. There you go. Okay, so once you hit the viewport, you can't move them again. You also want to line them up, but we don't have any grid markers yet on the elevation, so we're going to do that next. Let's go ahead and select a floor plan to put in some grid markers. So let's go back to our first floor plan, and let's go to model space. And we did start with grid markers over here. We put some bubble sheets over here. Actually, we don't really put this on the floor plan. I did show that to you that we are going to bubble these in later, but we're gonna erase them for now. Now the grid markers can be usually the bubbles, the grid letters or numbers are on top, and but I've also seen. So let's undo that. I've seen also um, that rather than have the grid markers on the left side like this, okay, I've also seen them put grid markers on the right side. Okay, and it doesn't matter. Uh, the office that you're working for will probably dictate to you how they wanted to see it. So it could be left or right. Sometimes they happen and appear both on the left and the right. Okay, so we're not gonna do these bubble sheets. We're gonna erase them for now. Usually, or traditionally, they were done as part of the model space, but they've actually changed that now. So we're going to now make sure that these grid markers appear on our elevation and actually our section as well. Let's save that and let's go back to our elevation section and let's uh, re-upload that and go back to model space. Um, it's just a warning. Anyway, you can see that there's three here again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're just going to simply copy that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then simply move this down. And I typically do a line and trim, then straight. I trim one at a time then. And then simply match property with this one and that one. And then now I'll move them just before they actually hit the building. Okay, so you can move them like this also, but this is just indication where our left and right orientation would be. Okay, so for this one, this is the reverse of this. Okay, so we're going to just simply do a mirror and then mirror that this way and then simply align this endpoint with the building here. Okay, now for this one, we need to align that with this wall. So I'm going to just simply copy this base and do a rotation of 90 degrees and then do an alignment for this wall and that wall and then bring it up. Okay, so balcony is over here and that's the balcony over here. Oh, made a mistake. So this one is the edge of the wall. So we're gonna move this and this the edge of the wall over here. It's actually this edge of the wall over here. Let's just move it here and then bring it up. There you go. And then do the same thing. We're gonna copy this up to the edge of the wall here. mistake again. What is this? Did I change the scale? No. So this is my property line, and they line up, and the edge of my wall is supposed to be this one, but it doesn't line up. What happened? Okay. I did a change in my floor plan, so my elevation is actually wrong. When I modified my floor plan, I didn't fix it. So now it's time to fix it. So I'm gonna do a stretch and line them up with this one. Okay, which means that this line over here is also going to be needs to be fixed. Okay, move further to the right. Okay, anyway, let's do this. Copy this, and from here we're gonna put it up here. There you go. So that lines up now pretty well. Okay, then we have to do and copy that is from here to here to here. So I'm only hovering, so AutoCAD remembers where I pointed my mouse, and then I can now simply do that. Okay, so again, my elevation changed from my floor plan to AutoCAD, so I'm going to stretch this building now from here to here. So again, you need to make sure everything lines up and is fit according to your plan. And then this one's a mirror of that one, so we're just going to mirror. And we're going to do a shift right click and then do a midpoint. Oh, shift right click, midpoint being 2 points. I want to pick this point and that point so it mirrors them correctly. Shift right click, midpoint between 2 points. So shift right click, midpoint between 2 points, and I'm going to pick this one and that one. And there you go. So now this whole thing is supposed to be flush here. That means that there's going to be some give over here. We'll fix that later. So we're just going to do a stretch, and we're going to stretch this whole piece. This front will now align to this building over here. Okay, and then this probably will need to get fixed. So I'm going to simply erase this whole piece and delete. Move this. Okay, erase that. And then do an extension. Let's do I'm gonna erase that too, and erase that too. Then I'm gonna simply do an extend a fence. There we go. And then also this one here, go from here to there. Oop. Ah, let's just, there you go. Okay, so I think that's all correct now. Make sure you save your work. Okay, I have all my grid markers uh, and we're ready to go. Now on the floor plan, we typically put our grid markers on the left side, and then on this one, we put it on here. Remember, these are not grid markers. These are grid markers over here on top. These are floor-to-floor elevation lines. Okay, so yeah, so now let's look at our layout. Let's save first. So with our layout, oh, not that one, this one here, and you'll see those markers over here now. Okay. Um, let's temporarily turn off our viewport. And where's my viewport? There's a viewport. Okay, so turn off my viewport. Can't find the viewport now. Over here, the region, something, it's a glitch here. Let's save. I know I have a viewport. It says over here the viewport is here. I'm gonna turn that off. And then there you go. Let's just simply do a preview just to see how it's gonna look like on paper. And there you have it. This is gonna be the front, the right side, and this is gonna be the rear, and then this is gonna be the left side. Okay. Uh, so let's talk about these grids. They're straight lines. They're showing straight lines. They're supposed to be showing hidden lines, and now it's probably the time to discuss about LT scale on paperspace. These grids on our paperspace are not supposed to be continuous line. They're supposed to be using a center line type. They don't show a center line type because we changed our LT scale. Okay, let's close this and go to the model space. So in model space, it shows the way that we want it. Okay, maybe too close to each other, but the command LT scale, this is not really a command, but this is a system variable. So LT scale controls how the spacing of these dashes and short and small dashes are spaced out. So it's a scale factor. By default, if you wanted to see how this line type was designed to really look like, you just have to make your LT scale set to 1. Press enter. Okay. And then if you zoom closer and do region, okay, that's how close it's supposed to look like at LT scales to 1. Nowadays, there's a new type of LT scale, okay, and that LT scale is called model space, MS LT scale, okay. Now, MS LT scale only has two settings. It's an on or off switch, 1 meaning on and 0 meaning off. When you set your MS LT scale to 1, okay, it will adjust its LT scale according to your annotation scale, and the annotation scale is actually this box here or this setting over here. When you click on that one, it's set to 1:1. It doesn't change anything if we set it to a different one, but this one is an annotation scale. That means that if we change this, the LT scale value will adjust to what's appropriate for a 1/8. Okay, so if I change it to 1/8 and then regen means regenerate, you will see that this is now what a center line type should look like. This is also center line type, but it does not show because it's too short. The moment I make it a little bit longer, then it should show. Okay, so it's just too short. Now, sometimes people don't like this kind of LT scale because it's just still too long or not to their liking. So you can adjust your LT scale again to 0.5, okay, and then it should fix the problem. Now, the good thing about typing in an MSLT scale when it's set to 1 is you can always adjust that your intended view or scale when you want to print it. Okay. Now, this annotation scale controls how line types are going to appear, and it will also affect the line types on your paper space as long as another variable, PSLT scale, is set to 1. Okay? If PSLT scale is not set to 1, then it will not be affected, or the line type scale on paper space will not be affected by your line type scale on your model space. So sometimes we don't want this, it's still too long for us. So what we can do is we can go back here. We can change your LT scale, and you can also you want this to be 1/8, or you can double that. You can do a the next one and then regen, and then see that it's now like this. Now when you go back to paper space, okay, and then regen, oh, double click regen, it's not affected because it is this scale is set to double click, it's set to 1/8. It will only affect that one based on this, if you change this. Um, so what I do is I set my model space to 1/8, the same as my paper space. We have to do a region because that's what makes AutoCAD run faster by reducing the region or regeneration. So I'll just click save, and that's now what's it's going to show, just like it's going to show here in LTs here in paper space. If we change the LT scale here now, okay, and set it to 0.5, it will reduce the LT scale, okay. But when you get to paper space, it will also now change based on your new LT scale. So that's how we try to do it. Is we set on model space, we set our model space LT scale to on, meaning 1, and then we intend to print this or view this as 1/8. So we adjust our annotation scale to whatever we want to do it. And if we are not happy with how it looks like, now we readjust our global LT scale to like half or 3/4 of what it is. So whatever we see here is now whatever we see on your paper space, which just matches. So when we do a preview, okay, that's exactly how we see it in our model space. Okay, that feature is not that new, but it has changed quite a bit. And I'm not sure when they changed that. Before there was only LT scale, and it was just changing back and forth. So now it's a little confusing to understand, but let's try to summarize that again. Um, you wanted to set your model space LT scale to on, okay, 1, 1 means on. Then you wanted to change your annotation scale here, okay, to whatever scale you want to print or view this on paper space. And if you're not happy, then you can now adjust your global LT scale to whatever number you want to multiply your LT scale. Okay. And then when whatever you see now on model space is now going to appear in paper space as long as your PSLT scale is also set to on or 1. All right. So I hope that clarifies it a little better, uh, because you certainly want to match what you see on paper space and what you see in model space, and that's how to match those two. So when we come back for part 3, we're going to put some titles and some grid bubbles for this preliminary elevation. Okay.